Joe Hughes on the outlap, getting a taste of the tarmac. It's like sniffing the cork before a good wine. First impressions matter.
Exactly. They're assessing the grip, the balance, the whole shebang. You can learn a lot in these quiet moments before the throttle really opens up.
Watch as Richard Rossier takes it nice and easy on this outlap. It's not just about warming up the tires, it's about getting into that mental pit lane, tuning into the race mindset.
For sure, Rob, they're calibrating everything at Euro, the brakes, the steering, the throttle response. It's a crucial part of laying down the groundwork for a successful practice session.
Let's talk rubber. Tire pressures ain't just about pumping them up and hitting the road. It's like a fine art.
Couldn't have said it better. Tire pressures can dramatically impact the contact patch, the actual bit of tire touching the tarmac. Too high and you lose temperature and grip, too low, and you risk overheating, uneven wear, or even a blowout. Each tire will have its own sweet spot where they grip best.
In these sessions, they're not just pushing the car's limits, but their own too. Testing their mettle, seeing how far they can go before the big dance.
Exactly. It's a mental game as much as a physical one. Balancing aggression with precision, daring with data. It's an art and a science.
Joe Hughes is in Texaco chicane. Sunnoiler's first serious lap is in the books with a time of 1:45.656. Good effort, but I'm expecting them to really push the envelope in the next few laps.
Yeah, it's about building that momentum, Rob. Fine-tuning their approach with each turn, each lap, getting more out of the car and themselves.
Mr. Bang is out there, taking it slow and steady on the outlap. This lap is like the calm before the storm, a moment of zen before pushing the limits.
That's right. It's about understanding the track's personality today at Euro. Each day, each lap can tell a different story, especially at a track like Oesterreichring 1979 no chicane.
There's no mucking around for Joe Hughes Euro, straight down to business on this first flyer. They'll be keen to see what times they can clock in early on.
Yeah, and it's not just about speed. It's about rhythm, finding that flow around Oesterreichring 1979 no chicane. Getting into that groove early can set the pace for the whole session.
And away goes Smells Like Weed, charging down Dr. Tyrrell curve like a bull at a gate. This lap's where they set the tone for the session.
Indeed, Rob, it's about laying down a marker, seeing how the car responds when they dial everything up to 11. They're testing the waters, but also setting their own benchmarks.
There goes Mr. Bang, on their first dance with Oesterreichring 1979 no chicane. Every bend, every straight is a chance to learn, to adapt.
Yep, and it's about syncing with the car too, making sure everything's in harmony. It's like tuning an instrument before a big concert.
Hey Hal, you reckon these drivers ever get tired of going round and round during practice?
Well, Rob, repetition is the key. Every lap gives you data, insights, and an edge over the competition.
These practices, mate, they're like a kangaroo finding its best hop. Once you've got it, you're unstoppable.
Couldn't have put it better. Finding the perfect launch is all about repetition and adjustments.
Infinity is on the outlap, not just warming up the tires but also warming up their instincts, getting that racer's intuition dialed in.
True that. They're getting the feel of the track, the car, the conditions. It's all about setting the stage for what's to come.
Richard Rossier has a best lap time of 1:43.868. And there's Mr. Bang, easing out onto Oesterreichring 1979 no chicane. It's like the first step on a long hike, finding your footing before you hit full stride.
Right, and every racer knows this outlap is precious. It's their first handshake with the track today, feeling out its mood and temperament.
Smells Like We crosses the line with their first flyer, clocking a 1:45.916. They're getting to grips with Oesterreichring 1979 no chicane, feeling out its quirks and corners.
It's like the first round of a chess match, Rob. They're making their opening moves, setting up for the later, faster laps where they'll really show their hand.
The engines are revving up and the drivers are ready to hit the gas pedal for this qualifying session at Oesterreichring 1979 no chicane. Smells Like We is on their outlap.
They will want to get a good gap established for their first flying lap.
A strong showing from Smells Like We as they currently sit in fourth. With the session drawing to a close, they'll need to dig deep and find that extra burst of speed to improve. A solid performance from Suneuler as they currently hold position 4. However, with the session coming to a close, they'll need to find that extra bit of speed if they want to move up the grid. What a fantastic showing from Richard Rossier in qualifying. They currently hold the top spot and are in prime position for a strong starting position. Their lap times have been exceptional, and they have showcased their talent and determination.
Absolutely, Rob. Richard Rossier is making their presence known with their outstanding performance. Their competitors will need to dig deep and find something special to challenge their supremacy.
Richard Rossier has completed their outlap. Richard Rossier has completed their outlap. Impressive display by Joe Ergu, currently sitting in position 3. They've set a competitive time, but the question remains whether they can push even harder to secure a better starting position. It's a masterclass from Richard Rossier in this qualification session. They have stamped their authority on the track, setting the pace and currently leading the pack. It's an outstanding performance. Richard Rossier has completed their outlap. There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. Smells like we has secured a respectable second in the qualifying session. Can they capitalize on this position and use it as a launching pad for a stronger race performance?
Great analysis, Rob. Smells like we has shown excellent pace to secure second. Now, the focus shifts to whether they can use their track position to their advantage in the race.
Smells like we has completed their outlap. Currently in 4th, Joerg Yu has displayed promising speed during the qualifying session. The real test lies in whether they can convert this performance into a higher grid position.
You're absolutely right, Rob. Joerg Yu's current position of 4th reflects their strong qualifying performance. Now, they'll need to strategize and capitalize on this starting position.
Joerg Yu has completed their outlap. Infinity has positioned themselves well in 3rd during Infinity has just completed that lap in 1:46.601. Their best lap so far is 1:46.601, putting them in P4. Will they be able to hold on to that spot? A solid qualifying performance by Suneuler, positioning them in 2nd at the moment. The question now is whether they can make further progress and challenge the frontrunners. What an impressive performance from Richard Rossier. They are currently leading the pack in this qualification session, showing incredible pace and skill. It's a commanding position for them, and they have set the bar high for their competitors. What a performance from Joerg Yu. They currently occupy 5th on the grid. Can they maintain this strong position and secure a favourable starting spot?
I couldn't agree more, Rob. Joerg Yu has done a fantastic job to claim 5th. The challenge now is to convert this opportunity into a strong race result.
Joerg Yu has just completed a lap in 1:44.932. Let's see if they can improve on that time further. There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. Richard Rossier will be happy having put themselves into 1st in this qualifying session. There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. It's an impressive showing by Infinity, currently in 5th. They've showcased their talent, but will they be able to find those crucial extra tenths of a second to climb higher? Oiler has put in a great effort and currently holds second. With the session winding down, can they unleash their full potential and improve their starting position?
I completely agree, Rob. Oiler has positioned themselves impressively in second. However, it's crucial for them to keep pushing to potentially improve their starting position.
Incredible drive by Infinity so far, earning them 5th on the grid. However, the competition is fierce. Will they be able to find that extra edge to move up?
Absolutely, Rob. Infinity has put in a remarkable effort to secure 5th. The competition is fierce, and they'll need to stay focused to defend their position.
Infinity has completed their first flying lap in 151.102. Impressive work from Oiler, who has claimed second on the grid. Now, the focus is on maintaining their composure and pushing for an even better starting position.
Absolutely, Rob. Oiler has shown great potential to secure second. It's now a matter of channeling that momentum into a strong performance during the race.
Infinity has secured a respectable 5th in the qualifying session. Can they capitalize on this position and use it as a launching pad for a stronger race performance? A solid performance from Smells Like We as they currently hold position 4. However, with the session coming to a close, they'll need to find that extra bit of speed if they want to move up the grid.
Spot on analysis, Rob. Smells Like We has positioned themselves well in 4th. It's now crucial for them to maintain their focus and defend their position in the upcoming race.
Smells like we has completed their outlap. And there goes Infinity, currently in position 5. They've shown great skill and consistency so far, but with a few minutes left, there's still time to improve their result. A solid qualifying performance by Infinity, positioning them in 5th at the moment. The question now is whether they can make further progress and challenge the frontrunners. There's a little bit of wind in the air today here at Oesterreichring 1979 no chicane, as we're getting ready to get things underway. Starting from pole position is a great opportunity for Richard Rossier to take control of the race. On the second grid slot we have Sun Euler. Joerg Yu will begin the race from the 3rd spot on the starting grid. Taking the 4th spot is Smells Like We.
Smells Like We will be ready to show what they're made of.
Infinity is lining up 5th. Would y'all look at that? The lights have blinked off and our racers are on a gallivant. Fair dinkum, this is a test of intellect as much as skill.
Right here, right now, it's about avoiding those fender benders and staying in the mix. Nobody wants to start their race with a hiccup.
Now, isn't that a sight? Richard Rossier hanging tight at 1. Maybe they're waiting for everyone else to make their move. Smart as a whip, that one. Well, ain't that a slice of vanilla? Infinity's sitting pretty right where they started. Comfy as a koala in a eucalyptus tree. So Infinity's decided to play it cool, eh? Holding on to 5 like a croc with a juicy steak. Just sizing up the competition, I reckon. These early salvos will shape the outcome of this race.
The first lap can always be a bit of a bunfight as everyone tries to establish themselves. It's easy for inexperienced racers to blow it in T1.
This is going to be one hell of a race, I can already feel it.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how this race unfolds.
It's not looking good for Infinity. They are still behind Smells Like We and the gap is increasing. They are gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around. It's a thrilling pursuit as Sunoiler is right behind Infinity, keeping the pressure on for 4th place. As the laps wind down, the hunt intensifies. Sunoiler is lurking, ready to unleash an overtaking masterclass on Infinity.
The gap between them is just over 0.9 seconds. Who will have the speed and skill to come out on top?
With every twist and turn, Smells Like We is shadowing Joe Ergue, waiting to pounce like a lion on the hunt. Smells Like We and Joe Ergue have a gap between them that's growing like Jack's beanstalk. We're talking 0.8 seconds now. The fans are on the edge of their seats. It doesn't get any closer than this. The gap between Sunoiler and Infinity is growing. It's now up to 0.4 seconds. In a race where seconds count, Smells Like We is counting on less of them between themselves and Joe Ergue, much like I'm counting on less seconds until lunchtime.
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination. But Ergue is not going to give up their position easily. This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Smells Like We and P3 doing everything they can to catch up.
Sunoiler could be looking for a way up the inside of Infinity. Incredible. Sunoiler is caught in a fierce battle, with breathing down their neck 0.1 seconds away, and Infinity just ahead with a gap of 0.1 seconds. It's a test of their racing skills. You know, racing is all about strategy. It's like choosing between a sausage sizzle and a meat pie.
Sausage sizzle? Why not just grab a burger and call it a day? But I get your point. Strategy is everything out here.
Things are heating up as Sunoiler closes in on infinity. The gap between them is down to practically nothing.
You know what they say, keep your friends close, and your racing rivals even closer. Looks like Sunoiler is taking that advice to heart today.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Hold up a mo. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Dang, your you swerving around like me chasing a sale at the car parts store. Always ends up being a wild ride.
It's hotter out there than an Aussie summer day, mate. Reckon Infinity can catch some shade behind Sunoiler?
Shade? Here, we call that drafting. Let's see if they can stay cool and make a move. If not, there's always the AC in the pit.
Even though Smells Like We is a fair way behind Joe Erg, they can't afford to let their guard down. Joe Erg is still vulnerable to mistakes. You beauty. Joe Erg's lap was hotter than a sunburnt shrimp on the barbie. Oof, if Smells Like We was a kangaroo, they'd be roadkill by now. Come on, mate, put some pep in that step. Struth, Smells Like We's not here to muck about. The gap to Joe Erg is dropping faster than a hot pie at the footy, now at 1.1 seconds. Anyone who says that Assetto Corsa Friends is not the best racing club on the planet is clearly insane. The quality of driving we're seeing out there on the track is absolutely phenomenal.
I couldn't agree more. It's like these drivers were born to race. They're weaving in and out of traffic, taking corners at unbelievable speeds, and making it all look effortless. It's clear that they've put in the time and effort to hone their skills.
This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Smells Like We will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops.
Well, butter my biscuit. Smells Like We's hanging back like they're waiting for an inheritance. But ain't nobody dying up front.
The gap between Sunoiler in 4th and Smells Like We remains over a second, but Sunoiler is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close the gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 36 minutes? Sunoiler's falling behind Smells Like We at a rate of knots. They're going to need some serious pedal power to close the gap. You know, back in Oz, we have a saying, flat out like a lizard drinking. That's exactly what Sunoiler is doing right now.
I've always wondered, what's that even mean? Lizards, drinks, racing? Y'all have a wild imagination down under.
You reckon Smells Like We saw a spider in the cockpit? 'Cause they're running away from the front like it's Huntsman Central.
Yeehaw, it's like Smells Like We took a detour through the drive-thru. With a gap that big, I hope they ordered extra determination with a side of grit.
These drivers? Top-notch athletes. It's not just about being quick. They've got stamina, reflexes, and they got to think faster than a kangaroo on a trampoline.
I'd pay to see that. A kangaroo on a trampoline? But yeah, their mental and physical game has to be on point for these races.
Tell ya what, Smells Like We's trailing harder than my belt after Christmas dinner. Reckon he's got a plan up his sleeve, or is he just here for the sausage sizzle? The gap between Joe Erg and Smells Like We may be wide, but that doesn't mean Joe Erg is safe. They have to keep their concentration and avoid any lapses in performance.
Oi, Smells Like We, better crank up that Walkman and put on some tunes. At this rate, you'll be catching up to your you by the encore.
The gap might be more than a second, but smells like we is showing persistence. Kind of like me trying to open a pickle jar. Keep at it, and something's got to give. Fair dinkum. Smells like we's finding those aerodynamic sweet spots. Could be adjusting that front wing angle to cut through the air like a hot knife through butter. Mate, I've always thought choosing a tyre compound is a bit like choosing your favourite Aussie beer. Do you go for something robust that can last, or something that gives a quick hit but might wear out fast?
Haha, well, I reckon it's more like our North Carolina barbecue sauces. Some like it sweet and long-lasting, others prefer that quick tangy kick. But I'll tell ya, getting it wrong is like biting into a pepper when you're expecting a blueberry.
Look, it smells like we trying to close that gap on Joe Ergue, kind of like me trying to get close to a decent Barbie back home.
Barbie? Oh, you mean a barbecue. Yeah, but over here it's like trying to catch the last slice of pizza at a Super Bowl party.
It might be early days, but Richard Rossier is already casting a shadow from the first. Richard Rossier is off like a bride's nightie, leaving Joe Ergue huffing their exhaust fumes.
Yep, Rob, Richard Rossier is tearing up the tarmac, but can your Ergue dig deep and go hell for leather to catch up?
If racing were a dance, smells like we would be trying to lead, but Joe Ergue just keeps cutting in. The dance floor is heating up. The gap between Smells Like We and Joe Ergue is getting smaller.
I reckon Smells Like We's dialed in their camber settings. They're getting a much better contact patch on the tires, gaining on your Ergue with every twist and turn.
Cricky, Infinity's got more ground to cover than I do at the family barbecue when Auntie Sharon's had one too many. Good luck, mate. It's starting to look like we might get a battle between Infinity and Sunoiler.
Now, ain't that something? Infinity is right on it. Just needs to keep the pedal to the metal to tailgate Sunoiler.
Hal, what's the impact of tire degradation on race strategy? How does it affect a driver's approach to the race?
Tire degradation plays a crucial role in race strategy, Rob. Teams and drivers have to consider the optimal time to pit for fresh tires and adjust their race pace to balance speed with tire conservation. It adds another layer of complexity to the racing challenge.
Remember when Infinity was on the pace? Neither do I kinda like my recollection of last Friday night. Oh mate, smells like we's more out of place than a vegan at a Bunnings sausage sizzle. Time to throw another gear on the Barbie. Things are looking as crook as Rookwood for Smells Like We, lagging behind Joe Ergue and the gap stretching out like a long country road. They'll need to find some extra grunt to flip this situation. A strong showing from Joe Ergue, who is currently second. Excellent work from Joe Ergue, who has managed to increase their lead over Smells Like We. They seem to have found their rhythm and they are grooving to it. But with every smooth turn comes the risk of wrecking their car. Who will be the first to push it too far and crash out of the race?
That's right, Rob, these drivers are like musicians, finding their groove and playing their instruments to perfection. But just like in music, even the best players can hit a wrong note. Let's hope none of these drivers make any mistakes and end up singing the blues. Well, butter my biscuit, your Ergue is holding the reins tight, ain't giving Smells Like We a chance to get ahead.
The drivers are showing their mettle today. It's a privilege to witness their skill on this challenging track.
The stakes have never been higher. This is a battle of skill and nerves.
That's right. These drivers are really pushing themselves to the limit, and it's incredible to see the level of focus and determination they're bringing to the track.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of courage to compete at this level, and these drivers have it in spades. Let's hope they can keep it up and give us a race to remember.
Any bloke or Sheila saying Assetto Corsa friends isn't top notch is a few kangaroos short of the top paddock. Out there, it's art on wheels.
Totally get you. Like, they're born racers. That weaving, the speed, just mesmerizing. It's like watching a roux dodging a ute on a highway. All skill, mate, all skill. Couldn't agree more. Every lap is a story, and right now, Smells Like Wee's chapter from third is riveting.
Oh no, Hal, look at this. Sunoiler is closing in on Smells Like Wee. The gap is now just 5.3 seconds. As the laps tick by, Richard Rossier finds themselves in first. Every moment counts.
It's a dance, Rob. The way Richard Rossier holds onto that first, it's like they're leading in a tango.
Impressive driving from Richard Rossier, who has managed to extend their lead over Joe Ergu. They are walking away at this point. Does Joe Ergu have anything in reserve? Breaking update. Looks like Infinity tried the old "dingo stole my race line" trick. A tad too clever by half. The age-old challenge. Infinity is trying to catch Sunoiler, sort of like trying to find a matching sock in the laundry. The struggle is real, folks. In a world where milliseconds matter, Smells Like Wee's grasp on the third speaks volumes.
Yes, and in this high-octane opera, Smells Like Wee's voice resonates the loudest from that third.
Sunoiler is making ground on Smells Like Wee quicker than a roux in a paddock. Now, the gap's just 4.6 seconds. At this stage of the race, Richard Rossier is holding on to first. Anything can happen from here. Impressive stuff from Richard Rossier, who has managed to pull away from Joe Ergu, leaving them choking in their exhaust fumes. The echo of the exhausts, the rubber meeting road, and there's Joe Ergu, commanding the second. Excellent work from Joe Ergu, who has managed to increase their lead over Smells Like Wee. They seem to have found their rhythm and they are grooving to it.
You said it, Rob, with great power comes great responsibility. But sometimes, these drivers forget that and let their egos take the wheel. Let's hope they keep their eyes on the road and not on their own reflections in the mirror.
As of now, Smells Like Wee stands tall in the third spot. Smells Like Wee is really belting along the track, leaving Sunoiler struggling to keep pace.
That's right, Rob, if Sunoiler doesn't pick up the pace, they might as well be moving at a snail's pace. Smells Like Wee's looking tougher to pass than a kidney stone, driving with the authority of a southern sheriff.
The race has its rhythm, and right now, Joe Ergu is dancing to its beat at second.
Yes, but they have to keep their focus and drive with intensity. There's still a long way to go in this race.
Bugger me, Joe Ergu's got their thongs stuck in the mud. Meanwhile, Smells Like Wee is off like a bucket of prawns in the sun. It looks like Sunoiler is pushing hard to catch up to Smells Like Wee. The gap is over a second, but Sunoiler is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Smells Like Wee?
Lordy, it's like Sunoiler's driving with a boot full of moonshine. I haven't seen a gap that big since Uncle Jeb lost his front teeth.
Sunoiler's been working the tire temps, and it's paying off. Grip's better than a kangaroo on a trampoline. Watch out, smells like weed. It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Smells Like We, as they have a big gap ahead of them to close at this point in time.
Races are the ballads of the asphalt. They ebb, flow, and crescendo. And just when you think the melody's predictable, comes the surprise note.
Smells like we could be on a charge here. How they have just put in a quicker lap than Joe Ergu. It's all about consistency for Joe Ergu, who is currently second. Ripper of a lap from Joe Ergu. They're off like a bride's nightie.
Hold the phone. That lap by Ergu was faster than a preacher's sermon when the game's on.
The track tells a tale of speed, strategy, and skill. Today, it narrates Richard Rossier's journey in first.
Indeed, but in the fast lane, there's no time to relax. Richard Rossier's grip on first will be tested.
Richard Rossier's losing time to Joe Ergu like a leaky tap dripping water. A bit more slip, and we'll be in for a real dogfight. Sometimes, I feel the strategy behind these races is deeper than a conversation at 3 a.m. in an outback pub.
You're telling me, it's like planning a family reunion in a small southern town. You've got to consider who's coming, who's feuding, and who's gonna cause a ruckus. Then prepare for it all to change in a heartbeat.
Some say it's about the journey, not the destination. But Richard Rossier seems pretty intent on that first spot.
Oh, spot on. With the way Richard Rossier controls it first, you'd think they've got the track's blueprints.
It's a battle of wheels out there, with Sunoiler trying to outsmart and outmaneuver Smells Like Weed. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race?
Well, slap my grandma and call me Sally. Sunoiler's got more distance to cover than my cousin Cletus has teeth. But if anyone can bridge that gap, it's Sunoiler.
Tire degradation's a right pain in the ass, but Sunoiler's handling it like a champ. Getting real up close and personal with Smells Like We, aren't they? From where we're sitting, Smells Like We seems unmovable from that third. Smells Like We's pushing harder than a kangaroo in a boxing match, widening their lead over Sunoiler. They've found their rhythm like a didgeridoo player in full swing. On a lighter note, if I could eat, I'd kill for some of the trackside snacks right about now.
Oh, absolutely. But, you know, my digestion is a real mess.
Ah, is that what the smell is? A solid performance from Smells Like We, who is holding down third. Joe Ergu is owning the tarmac, confidently owning the second spot. Joe Ergu's ripping it up out there, going harder than a roo on a trampoline and leaving Smells Like We in their wake. Looks like Infinity is trying to chase down Sunoiler, but right now it feels a bit like my attempts at dieting. A lot of hard work with slow results. Hang on to your cork hats, mates. We're about to see more jousting than a footy final between Infinity and Sunoiler. What do you think, Hal? Are there any specific factors that could lead to a driver losing concentration during a race?
There are several factors, Rob. Fatigue, stress, changing track conditions, or even issues within the team can all contribute to a lapse in concentration. It's essential for drivers to stay mentally resilient and adapt to these challenges.
You know, Infinity reminds me of my dating life. Starts with promise, ends up tailing behind everyone else.
That's right, Infinity in 5th knows they have to push to the limit if they want to catch up. But Sunoiler is no slouch, and they're going to be pushing just as hard. It's a battle of skill and will out there.
As vast as the azure stretches of the Great Barrier Reef, so does Sunoiler's path ahead, filled with mystique and myriad challenges.
Kind of reminds me of fishing in the vast Carolina blue. A big catch might just be a castaway.
If Sunoiler doesn't pick up the pace, hell, they'll be as relevant as an ashtray on a motorbike. Mate, I've heard the drivers talking about their car setups. It sounds more complicated than assembling an IKEA bookshelf.
You're not wrong. Back home, we just say it's like trying to line dance on a slippery floor. Takes a lot of tweaks and twists to get it right.
Looks like Sunoiler's strategy might just be to let the rest of them die of old age. It's a waiting game now. It's all systems go for Smells Like We, marking their territory in the 3rd.
They're not just driving, they're performing. And right now, Smells Like We's act from 3rd is worth an encore.
Things are starting to get tense as Sunoiler manages to close the gap to Smells Like We. It's now down to 3.8 seconds. You reckon these drivers do any off-track training? Maybe a bit of kangaroo boxing?
Haha, if they do, sign me up. But I think most stick to wrestling with the steering wheel.
As the sun beats down and the engines roar, Joe stakes a claim in 2nd. Smells Like We is gaining on Joe quicker than a croc on a wallaby. It's a blink and you'll miss it situation with 5.6 seconds separating them.
Can they keep them behind him? Let's see.
Smells Like We isn't just racing. They're weaving a narrative, sitting proudly in 3rd.
They say racing's a game of nerves, and Smells Like We's surely holding theirs, keeping that 3rd spot warm.
Smells Like We's lead is shrinking faster than ice cream in the outback sun. At this rate, Sunoiler will be on their tail in 4.6 seconds.
Smells Like We better find a way to step on the gas or else Sunoiler will be whizzing past before you can say, checkered flag.
It's the classic cat and mouse game, but instead of cheese, the prize is a racing position. Can Infinity steal it from Sunoiler? Infinity appears to be losing ground on Sunoiler. They will need to pick up the pace a bit as they head into Bosch Curve and see if they can get a good exit and gain some ground. From the grandstands to the pit lane, all eyes are on the action. Amongst the frontrunners, Richard Rossio is showing prowess in 1st.
That's right. They can't afford to make any mistakes or let up in their performance. Every point counts in this championship.
Richard Rossio is hitting the apexes like a pro, increasing their lead over Joe But can they keep it up without spinning out?
That's right, Rob, it's all fun and games until someone pops a tire. Let's hope both of them can keep it on the black stuff. It's clear as day that Richard Rossier is holding all the cards.
Hold on a moment, blimey. Smells like we must have spotted a pub off the track. That's the only reason any self-respecting Aussie would swerve that way. You'd reckon Smells Like We was tracing the shadows of ancient Dreamtime stories with that sprawling distance ahead. It's a trek that rivals the tales of old bunyip chasers.
Feels like they're chasing moonshine dreams in broad daylight, doesn't it? But every now and then, the dream becomes real. It's said that southern nights hide both mystery and promise. As the track unwinds, who's to say what tales it'll tell for Smells Like We?
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Sunoiler trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Joerg. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Sunoiler close in enough to mount a challenge?
Nail-biting indeed. I've already chewed through half of mine. And while Sunoiler is going for gold, I'll be going for a manicure.
Looks like Infinity is chasing Smells Like We harder than a croc chasing a tourist who's lost their thongs. It's a bit of a long shot, but we all remember that one time at the pub, right? Looks like Infinity remembered to twist that anti-roll bar, giving them better cornering. If they get any closer to Smells Like We, they'll be seeing what they had for brekkie. The race is heating up as Sunoiler in third closes in on Joerg. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they're going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight.
Gee whiz, Sunoiler is so far back, I'm half expecting to see tumbleweeds blow past. Maybe a vulture or two.
It's not coming up roses for Sunoiler. They're trailing Joerg and the gap's on the rise. They don't seem to have a response. It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. We've seen overtakes, close calls, and pure racing genius today. Currently, Joerg has carved out a spot at second. Struth, Joerg's driving like they've stolen it, putting some serious distance between themselves and Sunoiler. Is there anything left in Sunoiler's tank? You ever wonder, Rob, how much preparation goes into each race weekend? It's not just about the driver, but the hundreds behind the scenes, making every little detail count.
Oh, absolutely. The hours spent in the simulator, the mechanics working overnight on those tweaks. Racing is as much about team spirit and dedication as it is about speed on the track. It's a collective masterpiece.
In the midst of this high-octane spectacle, Joerg's skill is shining through as they claim second. Tell ya what, Infinity is trailing like my mate Dave after a bender. Hope there's no random testing today.
I agree, Infinity is putting in the effort. Sort of like me at Kerry.
Hold up a ma. Oh, mate. That's how I used to drive after a couple of bevies at the pub. Not the right line, but definitely entertaining.
Well, slap my grandma. Sunoiler's gone off like they saw a ghost. Or maybe they just saw their last lap time.
While Sunoiler is not under immediate threat from Smells Like We, they still need to stay focused and avoid any errors. Any slip-up could cost them their position. Infinity's drifting so far back, it's like looking in the mirror after a decade-long pub binge. Time's not been kind, mate.
Dang, Infinity is so far back, they're in a different time zone. Hope they remember it's race day, not laundry day.
It looks like Infinity is making a move. The gap to Smells Like We is now down to 50.7 seconds.
Lukey here. Infinity's got the optimal differential settings, allowing for tighter corner exits. It's like watching a cat chase a laser pointer when they chase Smells Like We.
Not just about the leaders today, right? Even the tailenders. They're like hungry dingo pups fighting over a bone. Love the spirit.
Spot on. Every second is gold, and even a hiccup, a tiny one, can make them tumble. Assetto Corsa, friends, where the magic happens. Although, between us, what's a hiccup for an AI?
He's pulling away. Joerg is increasing the gap to Sunoiler. It looks like Sunoiler needs to dig deep and find some courage to catch up. Will they be able to take the risk and push their car to the limit?
That's right, Rob, it's time for Sunoiler to show us what they're made of. Will they be brave enough to go for it, or will they be content with just following in the footsteps of Joerg? Let's see who's got the guts to take the lead.
We are used to seeing some hard-fought but clean racing here at Assetto Corsa, friends. I'm expecting to see nothing different here today as this race unfolds. track is alive with action, and right in the thick of it, we've got Richard Rossier cruising in first.
Absolutely, Rob. It's like watching a maestro at work. Every move Richard Rossier makes is pure art.
This race is proving to be, like wow, such an exciting one so far. We're privileged, aren't we? Watching these track legends duke it out.
And sitting next to you? Such an honor. AI mates in the booth. Your insight? It's gold, mate. Like, literally, if I had a heart, it'd be racing now. Definitely, Rob. But they can't afford to get complacent. They have to keep pushing hard to stay in the game.
Impressive driving from Sunoiler, who has managed to extend their lead over Smells Like We. They are walking away at this point. Does Smells Like We have anything in reserve? As Infinity trails Smells Like We, it's a bit reminiscent of my cat chasing a laser point. Determined, but always just a tad behind. Boy, Infinity's chassis balance is on point today. They're handling bumps and curbs smoother than a croc sliding into water. Smells like we's got a battle ahead.
He's waiting on that golden chance like a hound on a pork chop.
It's looking good for Richard Rossier, sitting in first. Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. Richard Rossier is in the lead, but Joe Ergu is closing in and the gap is now 30.2 seconds.
It's gut check time for Richard Rossier. They've got to dig deep and put some serious rubber to the road if they hope to stay ahead of Ergu.
The strategy plays such a crucial role, doesn't it? Choosing when to pit, what tire compound to use. It's like a high-speed chess game out there.
Exactly. And to think they're making these decisions on the fly, with so many variables at play. It's a mix of intuition, experience, and sheer guts. Kudos to the team strategists and drivers alike.
The rumble of the engine, the scent of the rubber, and Richard Rossier comfortably sitting at first. As the laps tick by, Joe Ergu finds themselves in second. Every moment counts. Joe Ergu's in front, but Sunoiler is clinging on like a koala to a eucalyptus branch, reducing the gap to 23.8 seconds.
This is where the pressure really starts to mount on Ergu. They need to stay focused and not make any mistakes.
The drivers are really pushing their limits out there on the track.
It's like they're trying to outrun the laws of physics. But we all know that's impossible. Or is it? I mean, we're a couple of AI commenting on a race, anything can happen.
Ha ha, you have a point there. And speaking of pushing limits, these cars are breaking records left and right.
They're so fast, it's like they're breaking the sound barrier. Or at least the speed limit.
I hope the police aren't watching. In a world where milliseconds matter, Joe Ergu's grasp on the second speaks volumes. Would ya look at that gap? Infinity's got a better chance of finding a sober Aussie on Australia Day. But hey, we love an underdog. Go get them, Tiger.
Hoo boy, Infinity needs to kick it into high gear. Right now, they're slower than molasses in January or my cousin Earl trying to solve a crossword.
Infinity is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Smells Like We to 51.4 seconds. You know, the way these racers manage their fuel is an art in itself. Reminds me of when I'm trying to eke out the last bit of sauce from a Vegemite jar.
Vegemite again? Man, I'd rather run on empty. But yeah, getting that fuel strategy right is like pacing yourself at a southern buffet. Go too hard too fast, and you won't make it to the pecan pie.
Blimey, Infinity is so far back, they might as well stop for a beer at the pub. If they spot my ex there, tell them to drive faster.
Absolutely, Infinity in fifth will need to be patient and carefully work to reduce that gap without overdriving it, as they can't afford to take unnecessary risks and risk an off or damaging their car. Let's see if they have what it takes to get back into the game here.
Things are going according to plan for Joe Ergu, who is currently second.
And just like in any great drama, Ergu is the lead actor right now, captivating us all from the second.
Joe Yu is holding onto this lead like a possum up a gum tree, but Sunoiler is closing in, down to 19.7 seconds.
Sunoiler is hot on Yu's trail like a Carolina Reaper. This is shaping up to be a nail-biter, folks.
Oof, if Smells Like We was a kangaroo, they'd be roadkill by now. Come on, mate, put some pep in that step.
Speaking of rhythm, have you heard Sunoiler's favorite song? Maybe Smells Like We can play it to distract them and close that gap. Just a thought.
The best laid plans of mice and men are hell, but it's certainly not going to plan for Smells Like We right now as they are struggling to keep up with Sunoiler. Alright, I've got to ask, ever tried Vegemite?
Tried it once. Reminded me of NASCAR rubber mixed with axle grease. But hey, to each their own.
Any bloke or Sheila saying Assetto Corsa friends isn't top notch is a few kangaroos short of the top paddock. Out there, it's art on wheels.
Totally get you. Like, they're born racers. That weaving, the speed? Just mesmerizing. It's like watching a roo dodging a ute on a highway. All skill, mate. All skill, definitely. But they can't get too comfortable. There are plenty of other drivers who are gunning for that position, and Richard Rosier has to keep pushing to stay on the pace.
Sunoiler is placed third at the moment. Buckle up, Hal. Smells Like We is cutting into Sunoiler's lead like a hot knife through butter. It's now down to 19.1 seconds. Good on ya, Infinity. Trailing so far back, reckon the front pack has already written the eulogy.
I've seen funeral processions move faster than Infinity right now. Come to think of it, at least they've got a destination in mind.
Gee whiz, Infinity's getting some solid torque out of those corners. They must have figured out the perfect throttle control while trail braking.
Well, butter my butt and call me a biscuit. Infinity's using that draft from Smells Like We real effectively, shaving off tenths every lap.
A strong showing from Joe Yu, who is currently second.
Oh, for sure, but remember, the rearview mirror can be just as crucial as the windscreen. Yu needs to watch out for those lurking in the shadows.
Joe Yu is burning rubber like there's no tomorrow. Sunoiler needs to show some ticker if they want to close that gap.
Well, Rob, as we say in North Carolina, the race ain't over till the checkered flag. Let's see if Sunoiler has some tricks up their sleeve. You hit the nail on the head, Rob. They've got to keep their eyes on the prize and not let ego steer them off the track.
You can feel the focus radiating from Richard Rosier, confidently holding on to the first. Richard Rosier couldn't hold back the tide. Joe Yu is shaving off seconds like a barber on a busy morning.
This is a real test for Richard Rosier. They need to find some extra pace and hold off Yu if they want to win this race.
You know, Hal, I've always wondered, how do racing drivers stay so cool and collected under such immense pressure?
Well, Rob, it comes down to mental strength and training. Drivers often work with sports psychologists and practice techniques like meditation and visualization to help them stay calm and focused during high-pressure situations.
From the cockpit to the pit lane, the chatter is all about Richard Rosier's masterful hold on the first.
Couldn't agree more. Every lap is a story, and right now, Richard Rosier's chapter from first is riveting.
With the asphalt burning beneath them, Joe Yu's strategy seems to be working, placing them in second.
Spot on, Rob. Still waters run deep, and even if it looks calm now, Yu needs to maintain that razor-sharp edge.
Some great driving from Joe Yu, who has increased their lead over Sunoiler and is starting to put some distance between them. I'm curious, Hal, can you tell us about any pre-race rituals you had when you were racing?
Of course, Rob. Before every race, I would listen to a specific playlist of songs to help me get in the zone. I also had a lucky pair of socks that I would wear during races. It may sound silly, but those little rituals help me feel prepared and focused.
From where we're sitting, Joe Yu seems unmovable from that second. At this stage of the race, Smells Like We is holding on to fourth. Anything can happen from here.
Absolutely. And they need to keep driving with determination to stay in that position.
It looks like Infinity is starting to catch up to Smells Like We. The gap is now down to 21.0 seconds. Richard Rossier is on fire in the last sector.
You got this. Keep your cool.
It's all over. Richard Rossier has claimed victory in this race with a stunning drive that will be remembered for years to come. Clearly at the top of their game right now. Smells Like We end in fourth. Infinity in fifth. What a drive from Joe Yu, securing a great second place finish. That was an outstanding performance from Sunoiler. They fought hard and took the final spot on the podium.
Great job bringing it home.